All right, so I'm going to give you a quick introduction on how to work with this craziness over here for your assignments. I'm going to point out a couple of things. First of all, over here in this white box, right, kind of looking right there, it's labeled headphones on it, and there's a bunch of headphones in there. You'll be feel free to grab headphones out of there and use them. There's a pair that are already plugged in right now that I'm going to use for this, but feel free to grab those if you want. Over here we have the main wall of synthesizers. So this is mostly what you're going to be working with, and I'm going to talk to you how to get plugged in and get some sound out of them using the Mother 32 as a test case for right now. So the first thing we're going to need to do is we need to turn everything on. So there's two power strips that you need to use. The first one is over here, this black one. On the bottom, there's a power button, and when you turn that on, everything on the left-hand side over here should turn on. It's not guaranteed that everything on the left-hand side is plugged into that strip. If you come over to the other side, the exact same thing down here, and now everything on this table except for the mixer and the amplifiers, which you won't need to use. Everything else should be plugged in and making sound. So this is the audio mixer. Everything that you're going to be using is going to be plugged into the front of it. Some of them are going to be labeled accordingly. For example, the Moog Mother 32 and the No Coast. I will change these so they say, one is going to say the Roland, and the other one, I guess I have to think about how I'm going to get that other synth in here, but I'll figure out something so that the other synth will be on here as well, so you can monitor the quad operator from here as well. So in this mixer, as a standard mixing console, each of these channels has a channel strip. They all have an EQ. Normally the EQ should be flat. Right now this has a low EQ rolled off because there's a weird thing going on. I'm going to get rid of that right now actually, so we don't worry about the low frequencies and the delay unit. There's a delay unit over here which is a little bit funky. They have aux sends. These aux sends by default are going to be going to our reverb send. There's a panning control up here. You should always leave these in the middle for now. And then this is the volume control per channel, so just turn the volume up for the synth you're working with. If you want to listen from the headphones, and the headphone jack is right here, you're going to have to plug something into the headphone jack first of all, and then you're going to have to turn up both the headphone volume and the main volume. So the main volume sets the main output level, and then the headphone volume sets the headphone level relative to the main volume. So both of these need to be turned up. Over here we have a stereo headphone jack that looks like this. So this is a TRRS jack. So notice there's three conductors here, the tip, the ring, and the sleeve. The sleeve is the ground, which is the reference point. The tip and the ring are the positive, or the left and the right channels for this stereo signal. So remember how sound is an AC signal that always oscillates around a center line. This ground is the center point at which the audio signals on these two, on these tip and the ring, they oscillate around the center line, which is provided by the ground. So all audio devices will have to have a ground signal on them. So there'll need to be at least two conductors, three conductors if you want a stereo signal with two left and a right channel. So the reason why I'm saying this is because if you take a look at the patch cables for our synthesizers, they're actually only two channel. There's a tip and a sleeve. Sleeve again is the ground, and tip is a single audio channel relative to that ground. So these are mono cables, and this is a stereo cable. So if we want to plug a stereo, plug our mixer into something so we can listen to it, the easiest way to do that is to use a pair of headphones. So this pair of headphones has a 1/4 inch stereo jack plug attached to it. We can plug that right in, and then we're going to get our sound out of our mixer into our headphones. There are a lot of headphones that have 1/8 inch stereo plugs. For example, these headphones. So these headphones have an 1/8 inch stereo output. If we're going to use these, we need to use an adapter. The adapters are located over here in this white parts bin. So this white cable bin has a bunch of different cables in it. Here's an 1/8 inch stereo, so you'll notice that these 1/8 inch stereo cables are going to have tip ring sleeve connectors, just like the 1/4 inch one does. And then we have an adapters drawer, and in the adapters drawer, you should be able to find, here we go, an adapter to turn a 1/8 inch headphone jack into a 1/4 inch larger scale headphone jack. They're both headphone jacks, they're just different sizes. So if I take this over to my mixer, I can plug that in, and then plug my 1/8 inch headphone jack into that and be able to listen to it. However, probably what I might want to do is use a speaker, and we do have a speaker. This is a Sony speaker. It's kind of a little bit funky. It's a Bluetooth speaker by default, but works great for our purposes. To use it, you need to turn the power on. And then once the power is turned on, it goes to Bluetooth mode, sort of by default. So we need to press that function button twice, and notice the instructions are written on it. One time, and then until that arrow is pointing at a white light. And now this is an external input mode. If you look in the back, there is a set of cables that are plugged into the input, and this comes up here to this jack, which again is an 1/8 inch stereo jack, or a stereo plug. And I can take that 1/8 inch stereo plug and plug that into my headphone adapter. And I can hear that I was making audio. So that's audio coming out from my, I believe this is coming out of this Roland case over here right now, and coming through the Sony speaker.